How many of you have ever used drugs before? And for those of you that said no, how many of you have a friend or sibling who uses drugs daily? Now, how many of you know someone who has ever overdosed on drugs or even died from doing drugs? So, drug addiction in today's society is becoming a more and more prevalent issue. According to studies conducted by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, the number of teens dying from drug abuse has more than tripled since 2001. Drugs are more readily available in today's society. A study conducted at the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University found that 5.7 million middle school students are attending a middle school where drugs are readily available. Chances are that everyone in this class knows someone who is battling with drug abuse. So, in my life, I have personally dealt with friends and family who have been battling with drug abuse for many years. The central idea of my speech today, so I'm going to talk to you about how drug addiction in teens is becoming a more and more prevalent issue in today's society because there are many families that are dealing with a child or a sibling who are battling with drug or substance abuse. And many of those families have no idea where to turn to, and there are very limited programs available for these teens. So the biggest problem is that more and more teens in today's society are battling drug abuse. One of the biggest problems is most teens who end up battling with a drug abuse are using the drugs to self-medicate for a mental illness, like depression or anxiety. According to the Addiction Center, 6 in 10 substance abusers also have a mental disorder. Half the teens that are diagnosed as a substance abuser are also diagnosed with a mental disorder. I recently interviewed a patient who attended a rehab center. He had just recently overdosed on Benadryl that he had taken along with acid and ended up in the hospital for a night. So his family decided to put him in a short stay rehab center. In the rehab center, he was diagnosed with depression along with the abuse of prescription painkillers and many other different drugs. The depression is a disease that is hereditary and not uncommon in his family, but he was using the drugs as a way to self medicate. So the drugs made him feel better, which in turn led to him experimenting with more and more drugs as his body built up a tolerance to the other drugs. There are thousands of teens all across the country that are experimenting with drugs. And I have friends who take cocaine on the regular when they party. It is available everywhere. I had a friend tell me the other day that cocaine is not addictive. However, according to drugabuse.com, cocaine is in fact a very addictive substance. In fact, in 2013, there were 1.5 million cocaine users 12 years or older in the United States, according to the data for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration. Many teens find themselves invincible, and there are a plethora of drugs available to these teens today, causing more and more overdoses and more teens living their lives ruled by drugs. This is a major problem in today's society and it must be addressed, and people need to be made aware of it. So, for this solution, drug addiction in today's teens needs to be something that is talked about in today's society because the addiction is a mental illness. Addiction alters one's brain. The stigma that mental illnesses are bad needs to be stopped. People need to stop being ashamed and hiding their loved ones who are battling with an addiction or a mental illness. I believe that talking about this problem and making people aware is the first problem, or it's the first step to solving this problem. There needs to be more awareness for parents to look for the signs of substance abuses in their sons or daughter. The addiction causes the chemicals in the brain to alter the brain, which in turn alters their personality. If parents are able to recognize these signs, they will sooner be able to get their child the help they need before their child falls further and further down the rabbit hole and starts using more and more addictive drugs. By bringing more awareness to this problem, it will hopefully lead to more people creating more programs directed towards helping our young adolescents at all stages of drug abuse. In conclusion, substance abuse in teens is an issue that needs to be talked about. According to drugabuse.com, the signs of drug addiction are runny nose, sudden weight loss of interest in their favorite activities or after school hobbies, chronic coughing, inappropriate clothing, most common in teenagers to hide their needle marks from using drugs like heroin, sudden drops in grades, uncommon behavior problems at home or school, stealing, skipping school, skipping class, change in friends, excessive hunger, or complete loss of appetite. Bringing more awareness to this problem is the first step to finding a solution.